Late in the day, not an easy slot to fill, but luckily we have Alejandro Matamala Ortiz here, who I think is going to be an amazing speaker this afternoon here at TechBBQ. Designer and programmer, co-founder and chief design officer at Runway, which is developing machine learning tools for creative industries. And I mean, these tools really do introduce automation and new methods for generating and visualizing content. It's a super interesting tool, definitely worth having a look at. We're going to talk a little bit about how AI is reshaping the entertainment industry and what the future of TV, film, and gaming looks like as well with the launch of your new product. So, Alejandro, thank you for being with us. I think your company, as far as I know, just the research I've done, you guys started with a question which was like, what does it mean to design creative tools for a world where AI is effectively your co-creator? How has your answer to that question, how has that changed as Runway's grown from prototypes at NYU to now Generation 4 and beyond?
Yeah, first of all, it's great to be here. Hi, everyone. Hi. So, as you said, we started pretty early. We started the company in 2018 out of a grad program at NYU. I met my co-founders at art school, so we come from a creative background. And at the beginning, we were very excited about what we were seeing in the AI space. We were reading the AI papers at that time that were mostly written without a use case in mind, but in some cases were meant for self-driving cars, for security use cases, and we thought that it was perfect for the arts, for creative workflows, and it was perfect for, it was a missing tool that we wanted to have as creatives, as artists. So we started exploring, and I'm talking about papers that were about like images that were 256 by 256 pixels that were terrible, that the alignment between the text and the image was awful. But for us, that was a shocking moment. We couldn't see another scenario where we will not be using this type of models, this type of technology for telling stories, for powering like long form, like maybe feature films. At the beginning, we couldn't make tools that were possible that allow us to create 2-hour feature film movies, but we built pillar points, and when we were building these pillar points, we were seeing different kind of use case. In 2018, the main use case was experimentation. We worked with a lot of R&D teams at different companies, and they wanted to explore, they heard about AI, and they want to explore what they can do with that. 2025 is a completely different world. Everyone wants to use this in production. Everyone has the same brief, like they has heard about AI, but now they want to implement it in different creative processes. Throughout this whole years, we have built different tools that have solved different problems within the creative workflows. And most recently, we are focusing on mostly video generation and image generation tools and models.
So I found a blog post that you wrote relatively recently, and you write that you're building a new language. And I wonder, like, from your perspective, what does that mean from a design point of view? Like, how do you design interfaces or tools that shape how people think, not just what they do?
Yeah, so as I said, we pretty early decided that we wanted to build the kind of tools that we wanted to use. We had this idea pretty early on creating a tool that allow anyone in the world to create a 2-hour feature film completely generated. That means synthetic characters, synthetic actors, synthetic sound, the sound effects, and everything. Not all of that has been possible to make. Still, it's complicated to make some of those things today. You can stitch some things together to get further, but it's still we're getting closer, but it's not fully there yet. We have been building this a lot of based on assumptions, on things that we believe can be possible through the research that we create. But we have also partnered with people that has been working in the industry for a very long time. We do have a big creative team inside of the company. We used to say that we like to say that everyone at the company is a researcher and an artist. We mix those things together pretty closely. We sit together people who has been in the industry of VFX for 20 plus years with an AI researcher to find what's possible, to see where they are and where we can direct some kind of research for finding any kind of value for creative workflows. So that's one of the most interesting things of working on a research company, because you don't actually know when research is going to be ready or if it's going to be ready at all, but you can follow the research and see if you find something that is valuable for specific parts of the workflow. And the best way to do that is to sit a creative next to an AI researcher to identify those key things.
And I know that you talk about world building as being really central to your world. I'd love to get your, how do you define world building? Obviously, we think about it in a cinematic sense. Oh, wow. That's the first magpie I've ever had at a tech event fly on stage. I'd love to, sorry, back to the question, how you define world building, not just in the cinematic sense, but as a framework for designing technology itself.
Yeah, so we can say that the type of models that we're making today are some kind of a small representation of today's world, but they're still lacking a lot of things specific with like physics, with very complex body movements, with motion, with camera movements, with body motion. So those are kind of like a small representation of what the world is, but our latest research initiatives are towards creating general world models that are capable of understanding more complex representations of the world that are not just purely on the pixel levels, on the visual aspects of the world, but also understanding some other parts of the world, like data that maybe we can use to train these models can come from sensor data, from simulated data, and other kind of information that can fuel the design and training of these models to create a better representation of what we know as the world. So we can expect for better physics, better movements, and other kind of things.
I mean, that's a very complex system. As a designer, how do you even begin to approach the UX of something so complicated?
Yeah, so I come from a design background. I'm a designer. I'm half designer, half engineer. I like to talk to our teams that with this metaphor that we carve our products rather than we build our products. What do I mean by that? Is that we work very closely with research, and research sometimes works in developing these general models that can do different tasks that are not designed for one specific task, that can do different kind of things. And when we are presented with these models, we start carving possibilities out of the models. So we have tried different ways of designing new interfaces, new products, and every time that we have tried to anticipate what we can do with the models, we have mostly every time failed, because then you get presented to the model, and the model latency is different than what you expected. The capabilities are bigger than the ones that you anticipated. So we start working backwards, and for me, that's more like carving and trying to find that kind of a sculpture or idea or piece behind this marble, and that's how we approach product building.
It's such a nice metaphor. So one of the things I've read about your company is, or your approach, I should say, is that you embed engineers within the design team. Give us a sense of what you've learned from blurring those boundaries, and how has that affected the product and also the team itself?
Yeah. So as I said, for us, following the traditional process of handing off a design idea to an engineer has mostly failed every time because as working with research, you need to learn the constraints, the opportunities, the capabilities of the models. So for us, it has worked very well to try to build functional prototypes as early as we can. So I work with the design teams. The design teams at Runway are conformed by traditional product designers, but we also have front-end engineers, design engineers who are quickly trying to build a functional, speculative product very early with the early capabilities of the model to try to understand what can we create with this. This has informed many of the product decisions. So when the model is ready, we have already explored many things. We have tested. We know the latencies of the model. We know the constraints and possibilities. And then we are very well informed for a sprinting phase that we call. That is like when the model is ready, we try to get it out to our users as fast as we can.
And I know that you have recently just released a product around gaming, or a new line of products, excuse me. Can you give us game worlds, as you call them? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so we started as a company that we wanted to solve problems for creatives. As I said, like one of our North Star was to create, or allowed anyone to create a 2 hours feature film. That always has been our goal. We believe that that goal is pretty close. I have talked to many teams that are already creating or designing a 2 hours feature film. So we have been thinking on what is our next goal. And we have discovered that the models that we are making are far capable of way more things than just powering traditional storytelling. So we are monitoring different ways of new forms of stories, and we believe that video games and games in general are one of the most interesting ones to pursue. We just released last week a platform within that platform to generate videos using our models to create different kind of stories on the fly. We're monitoring the gaming industry, but we're also very interested in what will happen with interactive AI video, real-time video generation, and we believe that as we progress with the technology and we learn more about the gaming industry, those things are going to overlap, and we're going to have a way more interesting offerings for gaming.
And yeah, and I guess like talking more broadly, like so film, television, gaming, you guys thinking of yourself as basically as an entertainment or a media company now, fundamentally?
Yes, I think around 2 years ago, we started defining ourselves more as a media company than an AI company. I think defining yourself as an AI company today is like saying I'm an internet company. Everyone is going to use AI in one way or another. We are most than anything an AI media company. We are interested in transforming the media landscape and to help people tell the stories that they've been wanting to create. But we also want to create stories, and we also want to use our tools and to test our tools to create some stories and to push the media landscape to different new formats of telling a story. As I said, we're monitoring the gaming industry, but we're also seeing what will happen with VR, with augmented reality. We do believe that generative AI might be the thing that unlock more possibilities in more immersive world that has been traditionally really hard to do for different reasons.
And what does this mean for the traditional entertainment company or media companies? Like, what does this mean for people working in film and TV? Are we going to start seeing people losing jobs? Like, I read recently in a piece that, you know, for instance, costume or makeup or whatever could be changed. Like, are we going to start seeing sort of some of those crafts not being so widely used, or?
I think the industry is going to change, and it has changed in the past always. We work very closely with Hollywood, and Hollywood the Hollywood story is a progression of technological breakthroughs. So many things have changed since we invented the camera, and I expect that that will continue to happen even after what's happening now with AI. So we can expect that some jobs are going to evolve, are going to transform. Some of them perhaps are going to go away. But what's more interesting to me, and what I keep hearing the most, is that, and maybe this was unexpected at the beginning, that we're seeing more projects getting green-lit. The process of creating a TV show, a film, has become really expensive to make, that many projects have not been able to get done, and now we're seeing more projects getting greenlit because you can make them with smaller budgets, with different kind of talent, and we're also seeing that it's happening outside of the traditional spaces where film is being created.
Yeah.
I have the opportunity to travel a lot now to instances like this one, and I've seen teams for every place in the world that are able to tell the stories that they couldn't create before because they were in the wrong location, they didn't have the budget, and we have to think that we are working for artists, and artists are people of ideas, and they have many ideas, and sometimes they want to pursue one big project, but they have some other ideas for some other short films, and with these tools, they can use them to pitch those ideas, to see any of those ideas has any potential to be created, or to even like visualize them into something that, to see if they want to pursue them or not.
And do you think that there is always going to be a difference between productions made using AI and productions that are more kind of focused on, the human crafts? Is that distinction going to begin to blur?
I think today we're still talking about how some films are using AI. I think at some point that's going to disappear, and it's just going to be the norm that every film is going to use AI in some way or another. I don't think we will have AI films, we will just have films. But what's more interesting to me is that I believe the consequence of this is that we're going to have some other forms of telling stories. As I said, maybe that could be through long-form stories, like stories that never end, that you can follow them in different mediums. Maybe it can be through more generative games, or maybe it can be through interactive, like VR stories that you are part of the story, that you live the story rather than you watch the story.
And I know it's very, very hard to make predictions given how quickly the technology is developing at the moment. But if you were to look sort of 3 to 5 years ahead, what do you think the media industry, or the visual side of the media industry, I should maybe say, or maybe that will be the media industry. What will that look like, do you think? Like, what are we going to see that's new, or what are we going to see that's different, and what will remain the same as well?
I think we will always continue doing, at least in films, we have made amazing films on traditional ways, and I don't expect that we will not continue doing them, but we're going to see different outcomes. I think we're passing through a phase where we're trying to do exactly what we know we can create. So today we're using AI to create films because we have done films in the past. But in 5 years, I expect that we will be seeing these tools and these techniques in new, different, and novel forms with interactive AI video, with real-time video generation, with personalized video content. I expect that we will have other new forms of like creating stories and participating in stories. So, and I think that will be a push from the artist itself. I think we're providing the tools, but it will be artists the ones who will be pushing for the type of stories that we'll be consuming.
Okay, so we're just about to get kicked off, but I'd love to just ask you one more question, if that's okay. So I've read that in other interviews that you're kind of the most exciting use cases for Runway are often ones you kind of didn't expect. Like, can you share an example maybe of when a creator used your tools in a way that surprised or inspired you in some way?
Yeah, more recently, I think with the release of our platform to create video games, we are seeing very interesting cases. You can You can create games that are like games that you know, like escape room and trivia games. But we are now seeing how people are creating games for learning. We had a case where someone was generating a game of being a graphic engineer just to learn how to work with GPUs, how to use them to train models, and they were exploring new mechanisms of learning through a gaming experience, which was pretty unexpected for us because we have not designed the platform to work in that way, but it's the consequence of how our users wanted to use that.
Okay, and as a public service, we've got a couple of Slido questions in there. Is there one you maybe want to quickly answer before we get slung off the stage?
Yeah, I can take the second one. I talk a little bit about Aleph. Aleph is our most recent video model. We have a family of models that we call Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, and Gen 4, which are our models to create videos from scratch using an image as a reference. But a month or 2 months ago, we released Aleph, which is our latest video model to not just create videos from scratch, you can edit and transform videos as well. So you can bring an existing footage and you can ask the model to transform the style of that footage. You can go from summer to winter, you can go from day to night, and you can add or remove objects and characters from your videos. So if you miss a prop on a production, you can add that prop. If you see some cables on your video, you can remove the cables. You can do all kind of those transformations. But what is more exciting to me is that it has capabilities that you haven't had in the past, things that you couldn't do before. So examples of these are you can create new angles of a scene. So if you go into production and you film something with only one camera, now you have a model that allows you to have infinite cameras of the same scene. You can have suddenly a drone camera looking at the same scene, or you can have a camera on top of a bumblebee looking at your characters, and you can do all crazy stuff with that. So we believe that Aleph is a new series of models that will allow for more capabilities, not just for generating new content, but for transforming it in the ways that you couldn't imagine before.
And yeah, if you're going to be removing cables and whatever, lamps and things that shouldn't be there, that means the end of movie bloopers from now on. So no more Roman centurions with watches on in whatever it was in one of the great kind of epics. So Alejandro, thank you so much for being with us. Super interesting to hear what you're doing, and I think everyone in this room is looking forward to following Runway's journey in the coming years. So thank you for being with us.
Also, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.